Hello, welcome to Foxy Orientation Part 1. This is our van. We call it Foxy. It's a Winnebago Solis 59PX on the Dodge Ram ProMaster chassis. We'll start with the key fob. To lock the doors, you'll push the middle button. To unlock just the front doors, push the top unlock button. To unlock the coach, all the doors in the back, the sliding door and the back doors, you're gonna push the bottom button, and that's gonna unlock everything. You can lock all of the doors by simply pressing the middle button. When you're ready to drive the vehicle, you simply pop out the key, and that's what's gonna go into the ignition. Moving into the vehicle, on the driver's side panel, you have your door lock and unlock, your windows up and down. This button here will bring the mirrors in if you're in a tight spot, and then you simply turn the dial to adjust the mirrors. There are two different options there. The first option will adjust the top mirror. The other one will adjust the bottom blind spot mirror and go back to the up position to be in neutral. If you ever have to pop the hood pop is kind of in a unique location here along the side. Moving into the vehicle, you've got your park brake here. If you're ever parking on a hill, make sure to engage the park brake. Just be sure to disengage before you drive. Now that we're inside the vehicle, there's a really cool, unique option down here. If your motor battery ever needs to be jump started, you can press and hold this over to the on position, and it will pull power from your chassis batteries underneath the coach. You most likely will never have to use this, but it is an option if for some reason the car battery dies. In the door here, we do have some window shades. When you stop for groceries or for a hike or anything like that, make sure that you put these in. It's going to keep the temperature inside the vehicle lower than if you don't put these in, and it also will help keep the sun off of the interior components of the vehicle. So we use the shades come down to hook these on the edge of the mirror. You might have to readjust your mirror before you go and drive again. But we ask that you use these anytime you stop and you're outside the vehicle for any amount of time. And they just twist back up and store again back down here in the door. Operation of the vehicle is very simple. Your shift lever here, of course, takes you from park to reverse, neutral, and drive. You've got volume setting options on the steering wheel. Your lights are controlled right over here on this lever, which also is your right and left turn signal. On the other side is where you'll find your windshield fluid, as well as your cruise control option. The middle buttons are very easy to use. These control your air, the AC. To engage the AC, you simply push this button, and this is pretty standard. All the controls are pretty easy here. Hazards are here. This light here does turn on your lower fog lights in the front. Those don't automatically come on with this control, but you'll have to turn them on separately here, and those add quite a bit of light for you when you're driving. Here's your door lock option. You have USB charging and 12-volt charging. Here's where you control, your Bluetooth connectivity or the tuner for the radio. You can also go in here to the more option and look at the rear camera while you're driving. So that, in a nutshell, is the cockpit of the ProMaster. Welcome to Foxy Orientation Part 2. We're going to now work our way down the driver's side of the vehicle and around to the back. When you go to fill up on the fuel, this takes regular gas, 85 octane, no diesel fuel. And notice that the fuel port is right behind the driver's front door, so when you pull up to the pump, you're basically going to park yourself right next to the pumps. They'll be right by you as the driver. This door opens up, and just a standard gas cap right there. Make sure to close that before you go on. On the key fob, with the key fob, is a locking key for the cassette toilet, which is accessed from this hatch. You can lock this when it's not being removed. To open this hatch, it is a two-hand requirement where you're going to push both buttons at the same time and then pull that open. This will give you access to the cassette toilet. To remove the cassette toilet, you're going to lift up on this blue handle, slide this out, and when you do so, it's typically going to have pee or poo in it, so be careful to keep it up, keep it flat. Take it out, set it on the ground, and this is where we can now figure out where we're going to take it and dump it. To dump this, you simply turn the hatch or the nozzle, open the cap. There's a handle on this side, and this blue button is going to be your pressure release. So when you go to dump this, you're going to pick up, go to dump, press the blue button. That's going to be your pressure release, and then the contents of the cassette toilet will start to flow out. Once you're done, go ahead and put the cap back on. I do suggest sometimes maybe putting a little water in there, sloshing it around, doing a quick rinse, and then dumping again to make sure you get any toilet paper out of there or other contents. You shouldn't have to touch either one of these two settings when you go to dump it. You can look inside the cassette by turning this blue knob, and that will open the little hatch. This is where you're going to put deodorizer back into the cassette toilet before you put it back in after a rinse, and the deodorizer is stored in the back of the rig. When you go to put this back on, it's very important that this cover goes on a certain direction. It's going to slide basically from the handle towards the rear of the cassette toilet. But of course, first make sure that you close the hatch and make sure that this dial is in this orientation. Slide this back on, close your nozzle, pick it back up, and it's going to slide easily straight into this cavity here. If it doesn't slide in easy and lock, something is wrong. Just make sure that this dial stays parallel with the direction that you're sliding it in. So again, if it doesn't slide in nice and easy and click in place, pull it back out and make sure all the settings are right. Try it again. Next to the cassette toilet hatch is your shore power. This is 30 amp, 125 volts. It says it right on the cap. That thing can be a little bit hard to pop open once it's fully seated in there, but this is where you're going to hook up to any power source at your RV site or at a home. This is where you're going to put the power to the coach. And we will go over how this hooks up here in just a minute. Also, on the driver's side is going to be your gray water waste drain. So you have two options. With this cap, you can put a smaller hose, take this cap off. You can connect a smaller hose, like a garden style hose, to this cap if you need to drain that, or if you prefer to drain that way. Or you can take the larger cap off by twisting to the left, pulling this off, and then we do store a larger hose for faster draining. The larger hose is in the exact same location on the other side of the rig. We'll get to that when we get to the other side. Once you have the hose hooked up and it's going into the drain hole, you just simply pull this lever out, and that's going to open the main floodgate there for the gray water to drain from the machine. The tank, you can see, runs the length underneath this side, and that's ultimately what's going to collect your gray water. The gray water capacity is somewhere around 20 to 25 gallons, so it's not huge. You do want to keep an eye on it so that you don't accidentally overfill that gray water. That concludes part 2. Thank you. Welcome to Foxy Orientation Part 3. Picking up from the last segment, I wanted to show real quick how we hook up the shore power cable. So when you pull into your RV site, always hook up the Foxy side first. There is a slot, if you look at the actual plug, you know, for this particular amperage setting, 30 amp, 125 volt. This is what your plug looks like. This is the Foxy side anyway. There is a little slot that does line up to the prong on the other side. You're gonna slide that in. It just twists a little bit, and then this locking collar will need to be screwed all the way on to completely lock this in place. Once you've hooked this side up, you're now going to go and hook up the other end. Some RV sites will have different size amperage plugs. Do make sure you're targeting that 30 amp. The plug looks like this. It's very hard to mistake you know, the plug on the actual RV side. We do prefer that you always use this surge protector, this inline surge protector. And so it's going to hook in to this side. Then you're going to plug this in to your 30 amp circuit. And at a lot of RV sites, the actual circuit breaker will be in the off position when you plug this in. Plug it in, pop that circuit breaker on, and now you have power to the rig. All right, I'm going to leave that connected as we go ahead and move on around the vehicle. I want to point out, as we work our way around to the back, you can see two exhaust pipes coming out. The larger one is the exhaust from the vehicle. The smaller one is the exhaust coming from the generator, which is mounted underneath the vehicle back here. You can see there's not a huge amount of clearance underneath the vehicle where the generator is mounted. So do keep that in mind when you're driving around, that this is not a high clearance vehicle. Please be very cautious as to where you drive. Also, from here, we can pan up, and I'd like to just point out the air conditioning unit right there on top. Kind of similar to the low clearance, this also is about 9 feet and 10 inches roughly in height, so you don't have a lot of clearance on the top either. No driving through fast food, you know, drive-throughs or anything like that with this vehicle. Be very cautious of the location of both the generator underneath, and the air conditioning unit on top. All right, as we make our way now around to the back of the vehicle, the spare tire mount makes it a little bit challenging to get to the door handle, but you can reach right in, pull that door handle open. When you go to open this door, because we put the spare tire mounted to this door, we also put this restrictor piece of webbing here that doesn't allow you to open this door any further than you see right here. If you continue to open that door, the spare tire would crack the lens on the tail light. So we want to be very careful not to do that. So don't extend this door any wider open than this will allow right here. If you pulled it open really fast, you may actually break, you know, the little mount that holds this webbing in place. So be very cautious about that. I do want to mention that I did put the levels on the back, and there's one again on the side over here where the cassette toilet is located. You can use those levels to make sure the vehicle is level, both forward and backward and side to side when you pull into your campsite. To open the second door, there's a little latch right here. And this door you could actually open all the way, and it's not going to hit any of your tail light lenses. So it has quite a bit more range as to how far you can open it. We'll keep going here with the back, targeting the water control center. The water control center is where you're going to set the type of camping that you're doing, or if you're going to fill the tank. If you look here, this is all very self-explanatory. There are different configurations on the valves for dry camping, filling the tank, city water straight to your fixtures within the coach, winterizing and sanitizing. You'll never have to use the sanitize or winterize when you're out using the vehicle. You'll only use the 3 on the left here. The dry camping, if you're going to be quote unquote off grid and you're using the water pump to pull fresh water from your tank to your fixtures, you would be in the dry camp mode. As you see, that's how we are configured right now. When you go to fill your tank with fresh water, you're going to go to the power fill tank setting, and it says here city inlet to tank, so it's hard to confuse. And you're going to go ahead, configure it like that, and now we're set to put water into the system, or into the freshwater tank rather. If you do have water hookups at your campsite, you can now go to the city inlet to fixtures setting. It says city water right there, and you can see that's how we're configured now. So just for general storage purposes, we always keep it in dry camp mode. So I'm going to put it back in dry camp mode. To put the water into the tank, I'm going to quickly show you the configuration of the hoses so that you know how this is going to be hooked up. Please always use this this PSI regulator. This regulates the PSI coming into the system at 40 to 50 total PSI. That's always going to be your first piece that gets hooked up. Next, because we have no idea how clean the water is at any given location, we also don't know how much sediment could be coming in, we're going to go ahead and hook up the filter. The filter does have a flow direction on it, so it tells which direction it goes. The flow needs to go into the system. And then lastly, we'll hook up our final piece of connecting hose and then you would hook up the fresh water into the system. One of the key reasons we do it this way is so that when you go to disconnect this system, you can disconnect it outside of the vehicle as opposed to inside the vehicle and not get water all over the floor. In the storage compartment on the right back here is the green hose. This green hose is potable water safe, and it would now be the connecting piece from your inlet system to the water at whatever location you're filling up. So that's how the whole water control center back here works. To engage the water pump when you're in dry camping mode, there is a pump on button right here on the back, and later you'll see that there's also another one inside the coach that you can use. So there are two water pump on off switches, so do keep that in mind. That concludes part 3. Thank you. Hello, welcome to Foxy Orientation part 4. So I'm going to go through the storage compartments here in the back of the coach, and what we have specifically stored for our rig back here. So these two side doors open up, and this is a storage compartment here. The first thing is this nice little bundle. I'm not going to open this up, but this is your jack and the jack handle. So that is stored down in here. This compartment here really is a lot of tools related to driving, or if you get in snowy conditions or whatever. We do keep a set of these auto socks back here. If you happen to get caught in a storm, a blizzard, and it's snowy conditions, these work like chains, and there are instructions on how to install these. We've never had to use them, but we do live at 9,000 feet here in Colorado, so you can never predict when a rogue blizzard is going to roll in. So those are inside there. We've got your tire lug wrench in here as well. We have a window scraper with brush. Again, never know when you're going to run into a snowstorm here in Colorado. That goes up in there. These are leveling blocks. If you get to a location where you need to level the vehicle, you can pull these blocks out and stack them, drive the vehicle up onto the blocks and level the vehicle that way. Those are down in here as well. The black rods that are here, if you want to take an outdoor shower using the rig, you can take these, hook them into each door, and set up your outdoor shower. So these two pieces come together, they lock, and you can hang a shower curtain that is also stored back here and take an outdoor shower. Speaking of outdoor shower real quick, back at the water center and stored just above with the other hose related items or water related items is your shower hose. It simply plugs in here. With your in dry camp mode, you would turn the pump on, open the water, and you can start spraying you know, outside the rig back here, you know, hang the shower curtain, you can take an outdoor shower. If you use this, always make sure before you put it back into the storage that you hold it down and pull the handle to release pressure and drain any water out of this. As you can see, there's still a little water in from the last time we used it, but as long as there's no running water coming out, you know, it's good to go back into storage and it won't cause a mess. Go ahead and take these down. And these can also hang back here and hook into these little slots. I'm gonna go ahead and just leave them there for now. When I'm driving, I prefer to put them into the storage space to keep them from making any noise back here. Lastly, from this storage location here is kind of a cool little table that you can set up back here. It hooks to the bed, the bottom of the bed frame, and the bed is up. It's kind of a little bit challenging to get it on there, but it hooks on like so, comes down, there we go, and sets up like that. So if you are grilling out here or making dinner, this can be another little table that you can set up back here. Kind of a cool option. We don't store this hanging back here. We prefer to put it down in this storage space when we're not using it. So it slides right in there with the other tools, and that closes. Also, storage wise, back here in the back, we have these two locations underneath. I always store everything in this this configuration. I've got the clean water hose and the electrical plug on the right. Just like with the shower hose, when you go to put away the potable water hose, the green hose, make sure that it's totally drained of water. If you put it inside here and it's full of water, it's going to cause a huge mess inside this compartment. Another way to keep it from draining inside is to go ahead and connect the male and female ends of the hose together so that no water can drain out of that hose while it's in storage. On the left side, we keep our surge protector. There is a toe strap as well. And then this hose is specifically used for gray water draining if you decide to use the small hose port on the side that we looked at in an earlier segment. We do also include a toolbox with some general tools in here in the event that you need to use any tools. There's pliers in here that can be handy for, hooking up your hose at the RV site. But just some basic tools in here, and those slide right there with your surge protector, and that's what goes there. This storage compartment, we've already kind of pulled some of the items out, but there's a chamois in here, there is an air pump, there's a first aid kit. This is also where we keep the deodorizer for the cassette toilet, and some little adapters that may make it easier to hook up water at certain locations. So kind of some general, water type adapters there. Moving to these storage compartments, there is a step stool, there is a tablecloth in the top section there. It folds up just like that. Here is your shower curtain for the back where we showed that hooks up, and that's all that we have stored there. There may also be some towels and some hand towels, some shower towels, that kind of thing. We also store in this location. Going up above to the storage in the back here, this is where we keep some pots and pans, strainer. This is going to be some of your cooking utensils. We put them back here so that they're not making a lot of noise, and that they're not rattling around up in one of the front compartments. And that closes. Make sure anytime you go to drive the vehicle that these hatches are fully latched. You're going to want to go through and make sure they're all latched. So moving forward, still on storage, these all have little magnets that hold them up. We keep cups and coffee mugs, a little French press. There's some koozies in here, some salt and pepper, some standard kitchen stuff here. We keep moving forward. We've got plates and bowls, and there's coffee, some napkins, just some other general cooking stuff. We keep hand soap and dish soap here right above the sink. Moving down below the sink, we have the Keurig coffee maker, some other general cleaning items. to keep the rig clean. There's some spare toilet paper. There's some gloves to use when you're draining the gray water or doing the cassette toilet. So just kind of some random stuff down here, as well as, you know, some trash bags. So that's kind of what we keep down there. Right above those is your cooking utensils, can opener, you know, knives, forks, lighter, that kind of general stuff, all included with the rental. So in a nutshell, that's kind of the storage from the back to in the kitchen here. If we go back now and look on the other side, you've got, you know, some drawers. You should never have to get into the fuse box. This is where all the electrical fuses reside. Should never have to get in there. Please don't tamper with those unless there's something wild that has happened and you have to get in there and check some fuses. As you can see, when we've been doing this part of the orientation, the bed has been in the upright and locked position. To bring the bed down, simply release the hatch here and let this thing start to come down, and make sure the pillows are all kind of in the right position, and it comes down, and now you have your bed. You can see we were storing some pillows behind the bed as it was lifted up. If you're renting the bed and we've already made the bed for you, this will all already be down and configured with the pillows on, the pillow covers on, and everything like that. I'm going to hop up and sit on the bed and show you that there's a lot more additional storage over here. There's nothing that we've actually put up here, so this is all really nice storage for you while you're traveling. Inside here is you know, USB ports and some USB ports, your 110 outlets, and some 12-volt receptacles, so you could charge your phone while you're sleeping down here. Now, one thing I do want to mention real quick on the 110 volt outlets is these outlets only work if you are A, connected to shore power, which we showed you how to hook that up in an earlier segment, or B, if you are running the generator. So these 110 outlets, they do not work by default all the time. You have to either be hooked up to exterior power or have the generator running. These ports, the 12 volt and the USBs, those will power all the time, drawing power off the coach batteries. So you can use those at any time. And this one's only under a couple conditions. There are a lot of hooks and storage options back here if you want to hang some gear or whatnot. So that concludes segment number 4. Thank you. Hi, welcome to Foxy Orientation Part 5. This is the air conditioning unit. You know, the first thing I'll say is if you're using the rig in mild climate, you know, you can always open some windows, cool the van that way. If you're in a place where it's really hot and you need to run the AC, this is the AC unit. We already showed you in an earlier segment the exterior condenser part of the AC, which is on the roof, mounted to the roof. This is the interior unit. The AC will only work, it's like the 110 outlets on the rig. It will only work with shore power hooked up, or if you're running the generator. So you need one of those two things happening for the AC to actually work. Once those are on, or you're pulling the power, you're simply going to use the dial here to go to a number of options. If you go to the fan side, you've got high and low on the fan, and then you can go to off. That's only going to move air. That's not going to actually do any AC, air conditioning. That's only going to push air. It's the fan function. You have to go to where it says cool. Actually, you got to go all the way past the fan section to low cool, high cool. One of those two is actually how you're going to engage the air conditioning. you can set the temperature using the dial behind it. So pretty self-explanatory. All the way into the blue is going to be as cold as it goes, and you can turn that temp down by using this dial. So to turn it back off, I'd go all the way back to the off position. These vents, of course, open, and you can kind of turn them and push the air wherever you'd like to. So pretty self-explanatory, but that's how the AC works. Hello, welcome to Foxy Orientation Part 6. We're now on the passenger side of the vehicle. I'm going to go over a couple things on the outside, and then we'll go into the sliding door on this side and keep going on the interior. All I wanted to show on this side is there is the drain hose for your gray water is in this side. You can pull that out, take it around to the other side, hook it up for your gray water drain, and once you're done, make sure to just drip out all the water before you slide it back into this storage location. And then make sure that that gets latched so that door won't open while you're driving. Moving over, this is your gas, your liquid propane gas, LPG fill port. So if you go to any certified LPG filler location, they're going to open this cap, hook up the fill, turn this open to that. This is what's going to tell you when it's full. It'll start spitting out there a little bit. Don't ever open this stuff just when you're out camping. This is just for when they go to fill it. There are two liquid propane valve switches on this rig. The first one is right here on the exterior. If you're going to use anything that requires propane, you need to turn on both switches. This is the first one. It's on the exterior. I'll show you the next one when we get inside. So to open the sliding door, simply pull this open and slide it back, nice and easy, till it latches. You'll hear it latch. Once it's latched, it's hooked in place. If you pull this handle and it doesn't open, you need to go back to the key fob or to the driver's side door and push unlock on the coach doors, and that's how you'll get that unlocked. Don't force it. It should open very easily. You have another shower location here. You can use the blue hose that we introduced earlier in another segment to hook up here if you needed to shower off out here or do any kind of cleaning right here. Moving into the rig. Oh, first of all, very important to note is the fire extinguisher is located right inside the door here along the passenger side seat, in the event that you ever need to use that. So as we step up into the coach, there is a series of controls right here. This is just inside the door. The master power on switch is right here. The entire time you're using this, you want to make sure that it's in the on position. Some people have accidentally leaned against this and flipped it to the off position. So just make sure that that's always on. There is a little green light that illuminates. It's hard to see when it's bright outside, but this button should be on all the time. You have your 12-volt charging. You've got USB ports right here. And then we've labeled these. The left one, if you flip that on, that's the exterior light. And that light is just outside the sliding door. And so you can turn that on at night if you're sitting out here or doing anything on the outside. And then the galley lights, all the lights that go through the coach, those are controlled by the switch right next to it. Below that, we have our refrigerator. This refrigerator is pretty good size. There's a little freezer up on the top. You can set the temperature by the temperature dial on the inside. When you close this, or when you're using this and you're driving down the road, make sure that A, it's latched, and B, you put this little locking latch in place. If this is not latched in place, we have seen, cans or whatever push against the door and push this open, and then stuff goes everywhere and you've got a mess. So always make sure you latch that before you drive down the road. Moving further into the vehicle, You know, these are your 2 back seats. The cool thing about this rig is you can seat belt 4 and you can sleep 4. So you have your 2 front seats that, you know, 2 passengers can sit in. And then you've got these 2 seats that are seat belted. So you can have 2 more passengers seat belted in right here. All the windows, you know, have these zipper opening options. You know, we usually have them closed if it's really hot outside, sunny, to try to keep the overall temperature inside the rig down. More storage right here. We've got some cards in here in case it's a rainy day and you're sitting inside. And then inside this bag is every manual that goes with the vehicle. So you could take this out. If you had any questions on how something works, it's all inside the manual stored here. We'll do this control panel right here, and then that'll be the end of this segment. This control panel, we have the interior temperature on this old school thermometer that we mounted right here. You should never have to use this holding tank heater. We only rent the van out in the summer. If you were using it in the winter, you'd want to use that. You'll never have to touch anything on this solar panel down at the bottom. This is simply telling us how much solar we're pulling off the solar panels from the roof. So don't ever come in and mess with any of this. We've labeled it do not touch. Here is the location of the next liquid propane valve. To use anything on the propane, you want to go ahead and flip that to the on position. I, by default, will turn that off when I'm not using it, just to be sure. Things that use liquid propane gas. Let's go through those real quick. The stove top. You're going to use propane gas at this location, and then you'll also use propane gas to either use the hot water function or to heat the coach. So if you're going to turn on the hot water, the heat for the interior, or cook anything on the stove, that's when you'll need the liquid propane gas on. And again, there's the dual fail-safe switches, one inside, one on the exterior. Go ahead and flip that off. You can see this control here. I've labeled it. It controls the heat, the hot water, or the fan. This is it's called the Truma kit. So you're going to push the center button. The one that's blinking there, that would be the heat for the coach. The next one shows a thermometer and water. That is for hot water. The next one over is going to control your fan. The next one is going to be your timer. The next one's going to be your clock, and then your settings. When you're using this rig, you really are going to use the top 3. If you want to turn the heat on, you would simply push the button, turn it to the heat setting you want, let's say 65, and then you have to push again. And now you can see that it's telling us that the flame is telling us that it's trying to heat, and then the propane tank is telling me that it's going to pull propane. We're on a low fan setting, as you can see there on the top. Now, I've turned it on, but I have my liquid propane switch in the off position. So really, for the heat to work, I've got to have that in the on position. To turn it off, you're going to come back up here, push the middle button again, select that, turn it all the way back down to off, press select, and now you can see there's no indicators on the top telling us that we're doing anything with propane or heat. For hot water, you're going to select one of 3 settings: boost, hot, or eco. Typically eco is going to get you enough hot water. You're going to select that. It's telling us now that it's heating water, and it's also pulling propane. And so that's how we get the hot water. It does take about 15 minutes for the hot water to get heated up. So you can't turn this on and then go straight to the faucet and expect immediate hot water. It's going to take just a little bit. Now to go back in and turn that off, I'm going to go select off, push the middle button, and you can see our indicators are telling us it's off. For the fan, you can go in there. There are different vent settings if you want to move air throughout the vehicle. And you can see there's nothing happening now on the indicator side up top. The next panel over, this is where you're going to see if your water pump is on. There's a red indicator light. This is the second of the water pump switches here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back off. The LPG, BAT, and gray water, this is gonna tell us how much of those tanks is full. If I click on LPG, it's telling me it's 2/3 full there. If I click on battery, it's telling me that our batteries are fully charged. And then if I click on gray, it's telling me it's empty right now. As you put water through the sink or the shower, it's gonna go into the gray water tank, and here's where you're gonna tell how full that tank is. If you see it getting up to 2/3 or full, it's time to go ahead and drain that. At this location is also where we start the generator. You're gonna press down to the stop position and hold for about 10 seconds. That is gonna be the primer for the generator. When you're ready to start it, you're gonna press and hold the start side. And I don't know if you could hear it on the video or not, but our generator in the back just started by me pressing this generator start button up. If it doesn't start for some reason, prime it again and do that same routine again until you hear it start. So I'm gonna just push stop to disengage. And thank you for watching part 6 of Foxy Orientation. We'll see you for part 7. Hello, welcome to Foxy Orientation part 7. I'm going to show you the bathroom and the kitchen sink right now and how these work. So the first thing is to make sure that you're in dry camp mode, assuming that you're dry camping. If you want to use the water at the kitchen sink or any water in the bathroom / shower, step 1 is to always make sure the water pump is on. As you can see here, the water pump light up here is not indicated as red. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it on. Now you can see the pump is in the on position. I'm now going to move over with the pump on. I can go ahead and turn the sink on, and I'm going to get water coming through the sink, assuming I'm in dry camp mode, which we are. I might not have water in, nope, there's no water in the freshwater tank right now, so I'm not getting any water coming through. You actually can see how much water you have in the freshwater tank by this indicator strip. You'll actually see the water level inside here. And when I turn this on, I don't have any water, and I did drain it the last time I used it. And I also forced air through it to push out any excess water because it got really cold for a couple nights. But this is going to be your indicator. You can flip that on and off. And with the water pump on, I would normally have water now coming out of my sink. But always make sure, if you're going to use the water function, that pump is on. When you're driving, this door is locked with a latch up top. Make sure you turn to the left to unlock that. It is on a magnet, so you got to pull that a little bit to get the magnet disconnected. Once you open the shower and bathroom, you've got your shower hose on this side and your hot and cold water on and off. You would need to turn this and open it up, then flip the little switch, or the little valve rather, on the shower head to get water to come out of the shower. So I'm gonna go ahead and close those back up. Right now we have this bar installed in here. You can hang stuff in here, dry stuff. If you're gonna come in here and actually take a shower, you probably want to remove this bar so you give yourself a little bit more room to work with. For the toilet function, you know, you've got your main lid, and then you've got your seat. To use this, you're gonna press, again with the water pump on, you're gonna press this button. That's gonna put a little bit of water inside the bowl for you. Then you're gonna use the restroom. When you go to flush, you simply take and turn this lever down here. That's gonna open the hole that drops your, you know, your pee into the cassette toilet. So this is just a very easy, there's no reason to be too hard with this this latch. I have seen this thing get yanked pretty hard and come disconnected. So just a nice, easy use on that. If there's anything left in the bowl, you can flush again and get it, you know, pushed down and through to the cassette. Really hard to see, but over here on the back side is an indicator that tells us when it's totally full. If that goes to all red, then your cassette toilet is totally full and it's time to take it out. Worth noting is that the cassette toilet does not hold that much fluid, so you need to pay close attention so that you're not driving down the road with a full cassette, because it will start to slosh back up into the bowl and it's going to be very messy. Also inside the shower is this little door. This is a waterproof door that keeps your toilet paper dry inside this little compartment. So that's where you're going to find your toilet paper. You know, we'll have it stocked with some towels and some soaps and stuff in here as well, in case you want to take a shower. There's a shower curtain that, you know, connects to these little snaps. It snaps up here. If you use the shower curtain, make sure the shower curtain is pushing water into the basin and into the drain so that it doesn't come out onto the floor and cause a mess out here. So that's the bathroom, guys. Thanks for watching. Hello, welcome to Foxy Orientation Part 8. I'm going to show you a couple quick things. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter segment. Over here underneath the sink, as I showed earlier, we store these little mini trash bags. These trash bags go with our little trash can that hooks to the end of the bench seat here. This thing pops out. You stick your trash can in, or your trash bag in here, hook it on this side, and then rehook it. And this is great for micro trash. You know, you're not going to obviously put anything big in here, but for, you know, just pieces of packaging or whatever, if you're making breakfast or something like that, this is a perfect little spot. So we put that in there. The next thing I want to show you guys in this segment is the table. The table is stored behind the seats here, and there are two parts to it. There's the actual tabletop, and then the rod that it mounts to. The way this works, it slides down right into the end, and it doesn't matter. There's not a right or wrong on the top or bottom there. And then you'll see there's the same piece on this side. Boom. Once it's installed, you've got that there. You can sit here and play cards if it's a rainy day. Another thing worth pointing out at this point is that these seats will swivel and turn so that you can have 4 people all facing that table. Both the passenger front seat and the driver front seat will swivel all the way around, and you can have 4 people facing the table. So this is really nice if the weather, you know, has turned south on you and you need to be inside for a little bit. You know, you can sit here and play cards or whatever. So underneath the table here is a little storage hatch, and this is where we do keep, you know, a little mini broom and dustpan. This comes in really handy when you're in and out of the rig a lot and you're bringing in rocks or dirt. Good way to just keep it clean. You know, you can store some other stuff down there, like some shoes or something if you wanted to as well. That concludes this segment. Thank you. Hello, welcome to Foxy Orientation Part 9. This is the rooftop tent and the front window shades. The front window shades and the ladder for the rooftop tent are stored right above the driver and passenger in the front. The shades, you've got a longer set and a shorter set. The shorter set go in the 2 side windows. The longer set goes in the front in the windshield. When you get to your camp and you get all set up and you want to, you know, have some added privacy or some added sun protection, you're going to want to go ahead and set these up. Pretty self-explanatory. The 2 side ones have some magnets and they only go one direction. And then the front windshield is pretty self-explanatory as well. Always just make sure that you have the reflective side out. And then, you know, you'll be able to figure out where they go. For the rooftop tent, the first thing we do is disconnect these little handles and let them hang down. We're going to need these to help us pull it back down later. We hook them up out of the way just to make sure that they're not dangling in people's faces while you're using the coach. So pull those down. The next piece is to disconnect the secondary latch on both sides. Okay, and now the last piece is to pull the little key down, turn that to the left, and it's going to release from that side. We're going to repeat on the other side. Now I usually push this out of the way a little bit. You can flip the key down and it will actually hook, or a magnet, it'll hook up to a magnet there to keep it up out of the way when you go to raise the rooftop tent. At this point, go ahead and pull the ladder out. The ladder comes in two pieces that will be put together very carefully. Get the two sides there. Go ahead and latch them. That'll lock the ladder together. And now what I like to do is I'll use the ladder to push the rooftop tent up, and as you see, it starts to accordion itself up, and once it starts to go, it's on some hydraulic arms. It will go ahead and take itself, and then hook your ladder on the top, and then make sure it's secure in place, and now you can climb up into the rooftop tent. Show you guys a real quick look at this. This is what it looks like once it's all up. There are windows on each side. You can unzip these and get some airflow coming through. There's one on both sides and then one on the front as well. I'll take you outside real quick and show you what this looks like so that you can see once it's popped, the tent is up. All right, so to pull the tent back down, there are a couple of really important things to know. We already dropped the handles down to make it easier for us. Basically reach up and you start to pull it down. Now, as you start to pull it down, it's very important that you make sure that none of this canvas is going to get pinched in the sides or the front. So once I get a little ways down, there are actually some red handles. There are red handles on the two sides that you can grab and pull inward to make sure the canvas comes to the inside and is not on the outside getting pinched. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of tug those in and bring it down slow. Do not bring this thing down very fast. As a matter of fact, once it gets to a certain spot, you can reach up and kind of slow the close and make sure it closes nice and easy. If this thing comes down too fast, there's a chance that you could break something. If the canvas is stuck in it, you could rip the canvas. Very expensive fix. Once you bring it down, you can kind of tuck, actually, this is a good example. I've got the canvas is slightly stuck in there. I'm gonna push it back in and make sure that that's all pulled all the way in. Okay, once it's all the way down, I'm gonna go ahead and tuck the canvas out of the way, bring my key latch down. Once it's latched, you have to turn and lock that, okay? Then you're gonna use the backup latch, and then we're gonna go ahead and hang these up out of the way. Now is a good time to show you that there is also a vent right here that you can open or close for venting when you're up in the rooftop tent. I'm gonna go ahead and latch the other side. I'm pushing the canvas out of the way, bringing the key lock down, turning that, doing the secondary latch, the backup, and then hooking these out of the way. Now you can see there's a bunch of canvas hanging down. I like to now roll this up and you can kind of tuck it up out of the way so that it's not hanging down right in your face. And then we disassemble the ladder, pull it apart nice and easy, and then these two ladder sections now store back up above. They typically go in first, and then you put your window shades in as well, and everything is nice and neatly tucked away. Now, before you go driving down the road, double, triple, quadruple check that this thing is fully secured. If you happen to go drive down the road and this is not secured and it comes open, it's going to be very, very catastrophic rip off the top of with the tent. So if you do rent the van from us, if you're renting the van, you know, we provide the sheets, the pillows for the back bed, for the top bed. It comes with towels, it comes with soaps. So we try to get it, you know, fully outfitted so that when you arrive, you just need your backpack of clothes and your personal stuff. You don't need to bring a bunch of other items like that. We provide them. Here at the door, there is a really cool bug screen that comes down. Once this bug screen is zipped, there's just a magnet, and so you just push on the door and it will open, and then the magnet will rehook to the sides there. So pretty easy. And yeah, that concludes the Foxy Orientation. We're excited to get you guys out there on the road. Make sure you watch all the segments and come prepared with a couple questions for when you pick the vehicle up, and we'll be sure to clarify anything at that time. So safe travels.